Hello and welcome to our interview today. My name is Marian Cannengieser, and with me today is Peter Tumminello from Australia, who did a lot of work on gemstones, on colors, and the life force. And I'm very pleased to have him here today. Hello, Peter.
So we can come back to your question.
Your favorite subject in homeopathy?
Favorite subject in homeopathy, there are many. I'm too broad. I'm too broad in homeopathy I've had too much experience and seen too many things to say I've got a favorite subject.
Yeah.
Although a few things have really turned me on.
Yeah.
One is that about the gems and the work I've done with the gems.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was led to do that many years ago, and it's really got some wind behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really been a potent force for my life and for my clients. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a favorite topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got two other favorite things. One is the use of the color symptom.
Mm-hmm.
And the relevance of color
This is an interesting
for homeopathic
psychological thing. Yes.
Oh, it's something amazing. It'll be revolutionizing homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the work of Ulrich Welter and others. You aware?
Not yet.
Yeah, so the color symptom in homeopathy, which I've been using for 13 years avidly in my practice, and before that for some years, but quite unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is the nature of the vital force and our great dearth of interaction with it.
This is what I would select for my personal interest. But I guess for our listeners, the color symptoms in homeopathy will be the most interesting thing. So if you would like to talk about that, I would select that according to the needs of the summit.
The thing about the whole experience with homeopathy and color is that it's clinical. It's purely clinical. It's not trying to qualify the nature of the color.
Mm-hmm.
At least it wasn't in the first instance. So there was a brilliant practitioner in Germany. Not many people know of him outside Germany, but his name was Hucbald Wolkemuller. Mm-hmm. And he passed away in 2001. But he had an experience, and experience goes like this. He had a person that needed the remedy conium. And one of the symptoms of conium is that they feel better in the dark place. So all their symptoms, if they go into a dark room, their symptoms feel better. And they have aversion to light. So he prescribes conium for one of his clients that has the symptom. And at the end of the consultation, the man says, "Oh, and my favorite color is black." So this guy's a good homeopath, right? And he writes it down. The next week, he gets someone else who needs conium. And he's about to write the prescription. He says, "Oh, and by the way, what's your favorite color?" The man says, "Oh, it's black." He thinks, "Oh, there's something happening here." Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he asks a number of other people. He sees many people, yeah, who need conium, what their favorite color is, and it's black, black, black. And it fits in with the general's aversion to the light and better in the dark. So he started to ask other people what their favourite colour was. And what he found clinically was that there was a definite relationship between the colour that a person is attracted to and the remedy that they need. In other words, there's a vibrational resonance between the two. The colour actually belongs to the picture of the remedy. Right?
It's just a symptom that hasn't been taken yet.
I'm sorry?
Just a symptom that hasn't been taken yet because nobody was aware of it.
Correct. It's a symptom that hasn't been taken. And it's a really important symptom because it's a mental general symptom.
Yes.
Yeah. So it covers mind and body. It's deep. It's a deep symptom. So finding the colour, if it's not nice and crisp and clear, like any good symptom that you get in a case, but finding the colour and can be really, really vital. It can take you to really unusual places. So what happened, some other German homeopaths took it up, and there were about 5 of them, and they all worked on asking their clients about what colour. They loved when they gave them successful remedies. Yeah. And they gathered a whole lot of information together. They made a special colour chart that's been scientifically calibrated so that it's exactly the same colour that they're showing to everybody. And they published a book, Colour in Homeopathy. And they published this chart. So in about 2007, I went to Germany and met some homeopaths. And I knew that they had been working with colour, and because of my work with gemstones and because gemstones are so vibrant in the nature of colour, I asked them about what was happening. And I had noticed that in my practice that a number of people that needed a certain gemstone, like an emerald, the person would be often wearing a brilliant green on their body, or a ruby wearing red and a sapphire blue. And I saw that there was a definite correlation in the person's attraction to the colour. As a matter of fact, one of my first emerald cases said, the lady said, I said to us, before I was going to prescribe the emerald, I said, tell me about this green top you're wearing. And she said, oh, yeah, I've been attracted to it for the last 6 months. I want to wear it regularly, yeah. And I was thinking I'm going to give her emerald. And she looked down and she sort of pulled it up like this. She said, oh, it's emerald, really. So it wasn't just green for her, it was emerald, yeah. And it was exactly the remedy that she needed. Yeah? So I knew there was a close relationship of colour affinity and the remedy being prescribed. And it was obvious to me in the gems, and I knew it for a few other remedies too, a few other standard homeopathic remedies like red for sulphur. And so I was very ready to hear what they had to say in Germany about it. And they had at that time gathered the colour, specific colour for 400 remedies. It's a lot of remedies. There's like 4, 5 really good homeopaths working in their clinic every day, asking everybody about their colour for many years before they published. It's close on 20 years. So the material is very, very solid. And it's been proven time and time again. Now there are over 1,000 remedies. They have colour identified. And I've taken part in that process with them in the last 13 years. It's very exciting because it enables you to get to remedies you would never have thought of, because a person chooses a specific color, and if they're strong on it, you know that highly likely the remedy you need is in that color group.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that can happen is that it can confirm a color. Sorry, it can confirm a remedy that you're thinking of. Is it this remedy or is it that remedy? And it can differentiate between them very beautifully. So, you know, I've had hundreds of good cases where colour has either been definitive in choosing the remedy or has been very supportive in choosing the remedy, you know, and just making that difference between strong confidence and maybe this is a good remedy feeling at the end of the consultation. So it's exciting stuff, and I think it's got a long way to go. It's been developed over, I mean, they started in 1985. It's been 35 years they've been using it. And I think it has further to go. Yeah? And I'm really excited about this.
While you were talking, I was just thinking, what is my favorite gemstone and what is the color of it? And it definitely is sapphire with the blue fire in it.
And you love your blue, yeah?
And the yellow one.
And you love your blue, huh?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. You know, there are qualities that go with each of the colours, and the Germans have written something on this, and so have I written something on this. And I think something relevant will come out of it in the future. But we're still delving into that.
And very interesting to see the combination with the gemstones.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the combination is even more stark with gemstones because they're highly colour identified, at least for the person who buys the gemstone. Mm-hmm. You know, oh, I love that blue, or I love that green, and if I love green, it's an emerald, if I love blue, it's a sapphire, that sort of basic idea. But it's quite vibrant for people because there's great vibrancy in the colour itself. Would you like me just to let you in on some of the blue characteristics?
Yes, why not?
Excuse me a moment. I've got a chart that I've made up for colour and colour experiences and choosing gems according to colour. I've got a chart that's made up, and it's colour down one side, and another important element that I've discovered in homeopathy, and that is structure. It's about the structure of the psyche. And I put these two things together to work out a good gemstone to give people. So some of the characteristics that come out from blue. Learning, broad thinking, inner equilibrium, and it relates to father. These are general themes that run through the colour. As you can imagine, you know, the colours are we're talking very broadly, blue, it's big. And then there are negatives associated, inhibition, grief, hard experiences, and detachment.
8 yeses.
Oh. Spiritually, it's about inner peace and the higher mind. And physiologically, in my experience, it relates to the kidneys very much. And it's the same in Chinese medicine. The blue and the kidneys sit together. Also the bladder, also the throat and the thyroid. Yeah. They're slightly different shades for those different places, but yeah. So they're just some of the themes that have come out from all the research work that I've done.
Yes, but I could sign it with blood. It's totally right.
Thanks. So we'll hold on the blood, but sure. Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely it's very good characterized, and it can give. I see now that it can give very good hints. It can be the differentiation between two or three remedies when one is insecure what to give.
Yeah, it's very nice like this. And also some remedies that I never dreamed I would give, you know, like sort of coming out really powerfully. I have many, you know, strange and rare remedies that have been identified by other people according to their colour. And I would never have thought of them. They were maybe somewhere in a repertory, but right down the line. And then when the colour comes clear, it's quite straightforward what to do. Yeah. And, you know, just recently I had a lovely clematis rector case and a gentleman who'd been struggling for a long time, and a beautiful crack willow. What's the name of that remedy in homeopathy? Anyway, it's a crack willow remedy. And, you know, they're not remedies that I know deeply, but because of the colour choice, I was able to get right into them and give really excellent prescriptions. And not just those, many animals, many plants, many minerals. Yeah. One of the most interesting things about it is we find that minerals gather around a colour. So, for instance, everybody needing a manganum chooses a deep red or a pink.
Interesting.
And everybody needing a cadmium chooses violet or purple. Yeah. And it goes on. Yeah. It goes on. All the calcs and the calcarea group tend to be orange, red, and etc., etc. Even some of the plant groups hang together, like the Papaveraceae group is very golden. Yeah.
Oh,
Yellow gold.
mm-hmm.
Sorry, I say gold, I mean yellow. Gold is something else again. They're like the metal gold. So that's a little précis of something that I use in my clinic that I relish and that I gain a lot from, and clients gain a lot from, and children love.
Yeah, yes. Children would love to pick a color. I can imagine.
We've got this great big color chart, and the children just love coming and say, when can I choose my color? So, you know, it's a beautiful thing.
How do you do it? Do you give them first a sheet with a lot of blues, a lot of reds? Or
Look,
how
it
do you?
varies from person to person. Some people are very open to this and really ready to just fall into it. Other people are saying, oh, you know, why are you asking me this? And, or I don't know. And so sometimes I show them a color wheel with all the colors. Other times I ask them their color, like you've said blue. Well, then I would show you a chart with all the blues. Yeah. For you to define exactly what shade of blue. There are 125 colours to choose from. Might be 127, I'm not quite sure. So there's been a few added here at the
Oh,
end.
the blue scale is big.
It is. So we have about, between blue and turquoise, you know, there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 remedies, 25 colours.
Yeah.
Something.
I see it when I look down to the sea. Each day it has a different color. Each day it's a different blue.
Yeah, yeah.
And so is the sky.
Beautiful. Well, you live in one of the most beautiful parts of the world. Do you want an island or are you?
I'm on the Peloponnese on the west side, looking over to Italy.
Got it.
Very nice place. Between the olive trees, the sun and the sea.
You are a fortunate lady.
Fate brought me here, actually. And I see it as a gift.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Would you like to tell us about a case that is in your heart where the color did play a big role?
Yeah. when people say to that, you know, all these cases just sort of flood in. So it's not always so simple, but I think I have one in front of me that's a nice colour case here. I had a lady who was hypothyroid, and she was really losing her inner balance completely. Yeah, she was emotionally and mentally at risk. It was menopausal, and she was terrified, let's say, to put it briefly, as well as having many physiological symptoms and great sleeplessness and flushing and the works. Anyway, I was a bit at a loss what to do. Her thyroid was completely, she had Hashimoto's. She was diagnosed Hashimoto's. And I gave her a dose of iodium, and she settled down. It was a good thing to do, actually. She was better for a while. But it was one of those remedies that moves into the case and settles things for a while, and you know it's not going to hold.
Yeah, okay. I know that.
You know the feeling. Every homeopath knows that feeling. Yeah.
When you get the feeling, oh, that was a nice idea.
Yeah, it was a nice idea, but it's not cutting right through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, if you continue with it, you're going to get, you know, once you're experiencing that, you know you're going to get less and less results.
Yeah, I know.
So at this stage, she was choosing her colour nicely, settled her down enough to choose the colour, and she chose this colour 15, which, you know, because the colours are all tabulated by rows, and there's alphabetical and numerical, and so it's called 15D. Yeah, and 15D means a deep blue. Yeah, and deep dark blue, not quite navy, but deep and dark, quite rich. And under 15D, there are about 20, at the time, there are about 25 remedies had been. It's one of the most popular colours. Anyway, I went through, because she chose it really, really beautifully, I went through and I looked at all the remedies, and I saw LYCPR, and I thought, oh, Lycopus is here. And then I looked at it again and I think, oh, it's not Lycopus at all. It's something else. And I looked it up and it was Lycopersicum, which is tomato.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her what she's been eating lately. And just after the iodium for a week, she had a craving for tomatoes. Mm-hmm. So I look up my program and find that the US Drug Administration has tomatoes, which is Lycopersicum,
mm-hmm.
as acting on the thyroid gland. Mm-hmm. And it's not known that it's been used for thyroid conditions. But I thought, this is too good. She's chosen this colour, 1 out of 125. So specifically, she had a desire for tomatoes. And we know from the US Drug Administration that it acts on the thyroid. Yeah, I think it's, you know, causing hypothyroid or something like that, or affects the thyroid gland's function. In addition to that, I think you remember I was saying that she was like in a state of terror.
Yeah.
So Lycopersicum belongs to the Solanaceae family.
Yeah.
And being terrified is classic. I gave her the remedy and she only needed to take it for a few weeks. I used 2 different potencies. and her very severe Hashimoto's was completely cured. Yeah. And we were both stoked.
Yeah.
It was a lovely, lovely result. And with a really, a specific remedy that just cut right through. You knew from the first few doses that it was going to go all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that change come over the person. Yeah. So it was a highly pleasing case.
Yes, and it would have been hard to solve that case without the color.
I would never have come anywhere near it. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting case.
At the stage of my knowledge at that time, today it might be slightly different, but still the color would help me enormously. And it's not a known remedy. We don't have a materia medica for it in any great depth. So, at least in my access to materia medica. So, yeah, so that's one quite nice case. Yeah.
Can you tell something about a yellow case?
A yellow case.
A yellow case.
Yeah, I can. So some years ago, it's in my book, Psyche and Structure. I had a gentleman who had a serious dizziness problem. He was a man in his 30s. And he had some peculiar symptoms, and I was thinking of calcarb to give to him because it met the symptoms reasonably well. And I think in any ordinary practice, maybe calcarb would be given. But in his case, he chose yellow very, very cleanly and clearly. And I knew that the colour for calcarb was an orange-red. So what I did, because I know gems and minerals very well, I gave him yellow calcite. So calcite has exactly the same formula as calcarb, Ca2CO3. Yeah? So it's virtually the same, except one is a mineral and the other one is from the oyster shell. And the action of something that has an orange-red character is completely different from the action of something that has a yellow character in expression. Yeah. So even though there's a fundamental similarity in the component minerals, there's a clear difference in the action. So I gave that man yellow calcite and it completely cured his condition. I was very, very pleased with it. And so was he, because he'd been suffering for about 3 years and it was really interfering with his life big time. That's just a yellow one that comes to the top of my mind. Yeah. So, look, I think that getting the colour is really, really interesting. Some people know their colour. Other people say, oh, this and that. And they don't know so well. Some people change every 6 months. Some people change every day. So the ones that are really firm about their colour, that's best. But I must say that I do believe that there is a fundamental colour for every person.
Yeah, just like a fundamental remedy, there must be a fundamental colour, and there might be layers on top.
It's something like this, even though there could be layers of colours, but it's something like this. I think there's a fundamental colour at the time of seeing the client. Yeah. There's something that's most specific and like a simillimum in terms of their colour. So if you can find that colour, it's a really, really big thing. Yeah. Recently, I had the experience that I woke in the night and couldn't go back to sleep. So it's pretty simple, you know. And I was lying there frustrated. Well, I thought it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought, am I going to get up and do something, or I'm going to stay here and stay frustrated? So that night I decided I'd stay there and stay frustrated. Anyway, after about an hour of tossing and turning, I thought, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the colours in front of me, just visualise them, and see what happens. Yeah. So I go through. You know, I start with like a rainbow. Easy. I start with red, orange, and just going through. Anyway, I get to purple, and I go, oh, that feels good. Yeah. And when you're lying down and you're relaxed and you're in your body, it's very easy just to relate to things in an instinctual way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the best way to get colour when people are just really relaxed. They're not trying to work it out with their head. They're just back in their heart and in their body. Yeah. Anyway, I got to the purple, and I thought, oh, this is beautiful. Purple. I think I must need amethyst. Yeah, the gemstone amethyst. And as soon as I said that, I had an experience, and the experience was, it was sort of like I was in half sleep, and it was like a cat came into my arms, like a big grey cat. And we were both totally at home. Yeah? And I just fell straight to sleep, just like that.
Oh, you selected your remedy mentally.
I selected my remedy mentally, and it just, it was enough. It was enough. I think maybe even if I didn't get to the remedy, but I just got to the colour, it would have soothed me so much that I would have gone off to sleep. It would have taken a bit longer had I not got to the remedy. But I was so ready to receive, even just the thought of the remedy was enough to put me to sleep.
That sounds very interesting. And when you're talking about amethyst, one of my favorite stones is the ametrine.
Oh, yeah.
Can you say something about the symptoms, or did you have an ametrine case yet?
I've never had an ametrine case. I'm very interested in the stone. They're complementary colours, and I haven't done any work on the stone. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. One day when you do work on it, I'm very interested in hearing something about it, because I think it's a very interesting thing.
It is quite interesting. It's one of the few bicoloured stones. There is another stone that is purple and yellow, but it's purple through one way of looking at it, and you turn it the other way and it's completely yellow. And that is iolite, as I recall. Anyway, no, I don't know about ametrine, and I haven't had the inclination to give it to anybody, although I have made it up into a remedy. Ready.
Maybe sometime. When I think of another changing stone, the alexandrite.
Yes.
Did you work on that?
It's funny you're asking about it, because one of the practitioners I work with here, we came up with what we think is the first alexandrite case. Yeah.
Wow.
Just yesterday.
Wow. It's too early to talk about it.
It's a bit too early to talk about, but it is really an exceptional remedy and an exceptional stone. It's the most valuable of precious stones that there are. And it's for very rare and exceptional people.
Yes, of course. There must be some resemblance between the frequency of the stone and the person.
Absolutely, and it's a magnificent thing. And I think I've only seen two in my life. One when I did gemology course, and when I did gemology, I saw thousands and thousands of stones, like so many diamonds, so many sapphires, so many rubies, you couldn't count. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was lousy. It was a lousy quality. And the only other Alexandrite I've seen is the one I bought, and it was expensive.
Ah, yes, I can imagine. I can imagine that.
It's an exceptional thing.
So very interestingly, you combine in your work the colors and the gemstones, and you obviously can come up with very interesting cases and prescriptions.
The color together with the structure, the way the psyche operates in a very broad way, is an amazing thing for the gemstones and an amazing thing for all the minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I talk about at my seminars these days.
Okay.
Both color and the nature of the psyche through structure, and that means crystal structure. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Because everything that's a mineral has a crystal structure.
Or has some kind of order in it.
Yeah, and that order is called crystal structure.
Yeah.
It's the very nature of the order. Yeah.
When somebody wants to follow your path and learn more about the gemstones and the colors, what would you recommend to do?
Read my books. I've written one book about 12 gem remedies. I've written another book about the structure, came out in 2017, called Psyche and Structure. And I've written another book called Rose Quartz. I have produced a chart that combines the color and the structure and how to use them, the general qualities of the colors, the general qualities of the structures, and how to put them together with the gems. Mm-hmm. And there will be webinars also. I'm just about to do a webinar series here in the Southern Hemisphere with New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. Mm-hmm. And there'll be other webinars available probably through my website.
Okay, I would be very pleased if you could give us the links to it so that we can put them on your solo landing page for the interview so that people can follow and subscribe.
Sure.
And the books too, so that they can have an easy access to it.
So you want the links for the books?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all for you. I guess it's not just Europe, is it? But they all come from Narayana. Narayana stocks all my books and has published a number of my books. Mm-hmm. So they can all be found there, and I can probably send the links to you when I get some
Yes,
time.
because it's always easy when you just click on a link and you come to a shop and can buy it.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Doing your work for so many years and digging deeper and deeper into homeopathy and a bit of side paths as the gemstones are and the colors are. How do you present your work to those so-called Kantianian classical homeopaths who follow the repertory and the organon only, very strict? How do you communicate with them?
It's a really great question. You know, I don't think we cross paths that much. And sometimes we have arguments. However, really, you know, the main thing for me is to try and integrate the material into their repertories because I would like them to see it in their repertory. And so I'm not trying to convert. I mean, for people like that, I'm really not needing them to study my work because, they've already got a fixed way of operating.
Yeah.
And, what the things that I do are new and they're different and they're a little on the edge. They're still pure homeopathy, but they're a little on the edge. And so unless you've got a bit of a broad perspective and you're willing to learn something new, you're not going to come and talk to me at depth. But, we've done rubrics for all these remedies. I have created a gem repertory, which is about to go into radar.
Very good.
And hopefully it will go into the other major repertories in the world. And I mean, that was about, it's been years in the making. But it's a specific gem repertory, so you can actually integrate rubrics from gemstones into it. And also in the standard repertories themselves, the main ones like the complete and the synthesis and all that, I'm, looking forward to rubrics going into those so that people who work like that can access it that way, because asking them just to go off at a tangent and learn a whole different way of operating is unlikely to work.
Okay.
Unlikely to work. So I'd rather they get stimulated by seeing something come up in their ordinary format. Yeah.
No, that's the better way.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to convert anybody.
Mm.
I really don't. I really don't care. The people that are ready to open their minds to something like this, or who feel or who see something really relevant in colour and gemstones, they're going to start. Their ears are going to be open. Their antennae are going to be up. And so that's really rewarding for me and rewarding for them. Yeah. The others, it's another generation. It's all right. Homeopathy is 200 and something years old, and we stand on the shoulders of homeopaths who have gone before us, and the people in the future are going to be standing on our shoulders, and that's the way it is.
That's the way it is, definitely.
And so, if the work I do becomes more popular in, some years' time when I'm not around, well, that's okay. It all counts.
Sooner or later, as we say.
It all counts. It all counts. I mean, I can't imagine how the people that, I have a nice arsenicum case about once a year,
Mm-hmm.
a good arsenicum case. And I can't imagine how the homeopaths that proved it, like 250 years ago, how they feel about that, I think they might be pleased.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might be really pleased to know that the work they did in that proving has getting benefits hundreds of years after they worked on it. It's sort of like, it's a very deep soul relationship that one has with the system of medicine, because it's ongoing and ever evolving and ever expanding.
This is something I said too. In conventional medicine, we have a lot of shifts. If we think 220 years back, we are at very, let's say, interesting methods. Taking mercury and things like that as an ointment. In homeopathy, it is a basis constantly evolving. And if we have precious buildings or churches aged 200 years, we say we have to respect them, we have to appreciate them, we have to honor them, and we have to preserve them. Why don't we do that with homeopathy?
Absolutely.
It's been stable for so many years. We should treat it as some kind of art that is tradition in our culture already.
Tradition
in our culture.
In our culture, yeah.
Just like an ancient church.
Oh, it needs to be respected. It's really important.
Yeah.
And honoured. Yeah.
And one last question I have is, in COVID cases, did you see a specific color?
No, I didn't see a specific color, but I saw a specific structure.
Yes. Could you tell me, please?
Yeah, so the structures that I've developed out of the science of crystal structure,
Yeah.
one of them is called monoclinic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that crystal structure sort of relates or is on the same plane as a miasm. So all the crystal structures are like miasms. Yeah.
Okay.
And this one is the tubercular miasm.
Yeah.
So I must say, and I don't know if I've treated any COVID cases. It's different in homeopathy because in Australia, because we haven't had so many cases. But when COVID first came, I got a series of really serious flus.
Okay.
Yeah. That I was able to manage each one, but each one responded to remedies that form this relate to this monoclinic structure or to the tubercular miasm, virtually the same thing. Okay? Now, I use remedies like China arsenicum very, very beautifully. It's very, very tubercular. I use remedies like ozone, phosphorus, basilinum, tuberculinum, yeah, all with wonderful results, yeah. And they're all remedies that I put into this monoclinic structure. If you don't know the structures, it's the same as the tubercular miasm, yeah. And interestingly, the remedy abratanum, which Jan Scholten first tagged for coronavirus, is deeply, deeply tubercular as a remedy. So, I'm fairly convinced that tubercular miasm is the grouping for COVID, and that I don't think there's a singular genus epidemicus remedy. I think it's too multicultural and too multiracial for there to be a single genus epidemicus.
Well, it's interesting to hear you talking about China as a nicosum, because the Indians had so many effects with arsenicum in the startup of the let's say, flu.
Yeah, right. Yes, I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, with China together with the arsenicum, it's double exhaustion. Yeah.
It's double exhaustion.
Because they're both exhausted remedies. Huh?
So yes, and if we look at people who did get the disease, they are all exhausted people.
Oh, yeah, it's enormous.
Exhausted people, old people, people with many diseases. We need to talk with John Gamble about that in the relation to the chronic fatigue syndrome.
What do you mean?
John Gamble, he worked a lot about the chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yes, yes.
And obviously has a lot of knowledge on the tuberculin miasm and all the toxins that are related to that. And I'm thinking of inviting you two to a talk about the tuberculin miasm. And so, Peter, let me thank you very much for that talk. It was
it's a pleasure.
very uplifting
to somebody. Hope it's useful to somebody.
It will be very useful for many. What I'm trying to do with this summit is getting people work together more. Most of the homeopaths are loners, working on their topic alone. And we could go so much further if we would unite and talk more to each other.
Nice.
This is my thinking. Peter, have a nice evening and thank you so much.
It's a pleasure and thank you, and hope all goes well.
It will.